Imagine you're looking for your next big game to enjoy. You love MMOs, you enjoy the challenge of zombies and survival craft games.
What kind of game?
I have this great game.
And you happen to come across The Day Before in your little Steam game queue. And you follow the game for years and get super hyped for its release.
Kind of excited about it.
Only for it to disappear under a storm of controversy, lawsuits, and broken promises, along with your money.
Empty their wallets.
This is how the studio Fantastic teased us with the most ambitious MMO zombie survival game of the year that promised us the world, but delivered us Big Head Man. Now the game released in December 2023. However, if you want the full story, we're gonna have to go back a bit. Back to when it all started on January 29th, 2021, when The Day Before dropped its ambitious announcement trailer. Gamers thought that they were safe from the shitty open world zombie game epidemic. An open world zombie survival MMO with stunning visuals and intense zombie combat and crafting and survival mechanics. It looked like the answer to every survival fan's dreams. And by March, it was the most wishlisted game on Steam. Now Edward and Ison, the brothers behind the game's development, kept the hype alive. They dropped a vehicle trailer that displayed some pretty awesome driving physics and a gameplay showcase that racked up millions of views. But there was a lot of speculation that the gameplay was pre-rendered footage and not even a person playing. And I mean, if you watched it, you'd understand it was pretty abysmal gameplay. And then after April 2021, the team goes silent and months pass without updates, leaving fans anxious. Many moons later, in October, they return with another trailer, showcasing a central hub feature, along with a massive shopping mall. The hype is reignited, and in a heartfelt video, the brothers introduced their team, which consisted of completely unpaid volunteers.
Wait, you guys are getting paid?
Which was kind of concerning, as well as announcing a release date, the 21st of June, 2022. The Day Before was now officially the most wishlisted game on Steam, surpassing even the likes of Starfield. Along with this announcement, they used the spotlight to shout out their new game, Prop Night, which is okay.
I mean, whatever, I guess.
I mean, it was pretty much Dead by Daylight and Prop Hunt. And so naturally, this is where things start looking sussy. The brothers reappeared with another announcement. Surprise! The game is switching to Unreal Engine 5, delaying the release to 2023. So naturally, fans get sus and they start digging deeper. And what they found was quite shocking. And so it turns out, this wasn't their first rodeo. Back in 2017, the brothers launched The Wild 8, a small indie survival game, only to sell its rights after internal disputes 9 months later. And then came Dead Dozen, a game released in a completely broken state and was abandoned within a month due to lack of funds. And then they released Radiant One, an actual functioning game. And it was decent, but it was just an unremarkable indie mobile game. Now fans were skeptical. This studio that no one had ever heard of is promising us the MMO zombie survival game we've always wanted, but they can't even produce a finished indie title. And so as the release date crept closer, cracks begin to show. Players start noticing recycled assets copy and pasted from the Unity store and suspiciously staged gameplay footage, as well as literal PNG images being used for muzzle flash on weapons. At this point, a lot of us have lost faith in this game, including myself. And then, on January 25th, 2023, the unthinkable, yet somewhat expected happened. The Day Before was removed from Steam, and the developers claimed that it was a Steam bug.
Yes, of course it is.
But days later, the truth came out. They hadn't trademarked their game's name, and they were being sued by a calendar app. Yep, You can't make this stuff up. While fighting the lawsuit, the team promised fans a raw gameplay showcase in February. But plot twist, they delayed it again. When the footage did finally drop, it was underwhelming. In the raw gameplay showcase, the world looked completely lifeless, and fans quickly spotted that parts of the trailer were actually straight up copy and pasted from the Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War trailer. The disappointment was real. Around April, they tried to salvage the hype by announcing a beta. Meanwhile, in that time, they managed to win the lawsuit over the game's name. But that victory was short-lived. Now finally, in December, the day before launches, surely, after all these years, after all of these promises and setbacks, these developers have made the game we've all been waiting for. Well, it wasn't. It was an unmitigated disaster. Forget it being an MMO. This wasn't even a functional game. Actually, literally, forget it being an MMO, because it blatantly wasn't. The max server population was like 30 people. The game had no survival mechanics, no crafting, and no mantling. The game was basically an extraction shooter, to put it politely. And all of these fancy physics that they promised us from all the trailers, all not in the game. Actually, not even the actual zombies were in the game.
I just want to fight, but it's like nobody's here.
Any zombies out there?
Performance was atrocious, the gameplay was shallow, and like I said before, 90% of the game was made from pre-bought asset flips. Players were furious. And as if things couldn't get any worse, during this game's atrocious release, Fantastic starts removing tags such as Open World Survival Craft and MMO from the Steam page. You know, the things that the game has been advertised as from the start.
Breakthrough for MMO survival genre. Breakthrough for MMO survival genre.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Hoping that fans didn't notice, but they did. Soon after, the game sells over 200,000 copies, 90,000 of which have been refunded. Yikes. If this wasn't enough, the Steam reviews left an overwhelming negative rating with just 13% positive, making it one of the most poorly rated games of all time. 3 days after launch, 80% of the player base is now gone, and the studio behind the day before shuts its doors for good, leaving behind a legacy of broken promises and shattered dreams. I assume that this whole game was just a massive cash grab by the two brothers who completely disappeared after paying themselves a nice cushy $200k salary while they relied on free labor to develop and a pre-rendered $300 asset pack to develop their game. So, fair play I guess. So, is there a lesson to be learned here? I think there is. The Day Before is a cautionary tale about hype, transparency, and the dangers of overpromising in the gaming industry. Let me know your thoughts on this story in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this different type of video from me, leave a like, and maybe even subscribe for more. See ya!